Good morning, everyone. We'll be starting a new video, Writing a Research Proposal, Part 1. First, we will go through the components of a research proposal. Uh, Research proposal will be having 3 chapters. Chapter 1 is Introduction. Introduction will have the following subcomponents: background, problem statement, research question, objectives of the research, hypothesis statements, and significance of the study. Second chapter will be review of literature. Third chapter is on methodology. It will be having the subsessions like study design, study period, study location, target population, source population, study participants, inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria, sampling methods, sample size determination, method of collection of data, variables under study, pilot study if it is needed, study flowchart, criteria for scoring, intended statistical analysis, ethical consideration, and statistical flowchart and statistical methods. After the methodology chapter, there will be a session for expected results. So you can show the dummy tables there. Then there will be Gantt chart or timeline chart, followed by references. We can start with chapter 1, introduction. First subcomponent of introduction is background. Okay, so you have to mention why the research is very important. So you can mention that the proposed research addresses a real world problem. So you have to highlight the health issue, burden of disease, or gap in current knowledge in the background session. Builds on existing knowledge. So you have to highlight that the current research builds on existing knowledge and summarizes what is already known and identifies the gap that your study is going to fill it. So background, you can write, it addresses a real world problem and it builds on existing knowledge, justifying the knowledge gap. Second part of introduction is problem statement. So you please identify the key concepts of your research. Okay, in one example considered here is stress among university students and its association with sleep quality. So identify the key concepts like stress, the level of stress experienced by university students, and sleep quality, the quality of sleep among university students. So in problem statement, you have to mention which population you are going to focus on, which main outcome you are focusing, which associated factor you are focusing, and you briefly mention the study aim also in the problem statement session. Then comes research questions. So the research question can be either descriptive research question or analytical research question. Descriptive research question means finds out how much or how many. It's a estimation. Huh? Descriptive research question will be about estimation of a problem. What is the prevalence of stress among university students in Ipoh? What is the prevalence of poor sleep quality among university students in Ipoh? Analytical or association type research question will show, is there an association between sleep quality and stress among university students in Ipoh? Well formulated research question, okay, can have one question on prevalence and one question on association. Okay. For stronger research questions, be specific about the population, variables, and the location. Focus on measurable variables. Okay. Ensure that the question is feasible with your resources. Keep it clear and concise. The research question should be finer, feasible, impactful, novel, ethical, and relevant. Power of a well-formulated research question. It fills a gap in knowledge. I told you before, we are planning to fill the knowledge gap. We are identifying what are the uh, evidence which is already known about the topic. Then we are identifying the knowledge gap and we are trying to fill the knowledge gap with the proposed research. Benefit stakeholder. So, well-formulated research question will focus on a problem that will benefit the stakeholder. Well-formulated research question informs policy and decision making in future. It improves practice. It's a basis for future research. So that these are the power of well-formulated research questions. Next component is objectives of the research. Objectives of the research means what you are going to achieve at the end of the research or what you are going to measure at the end of the research. It can be either general objective or specific objectives. General objective is a broad statement that describes the overall aim of the study. In this study, in this example considered, the general objective is to determine the prevalence of stress among university students and to evaluate the association between sleep quality and stress among university students in Ipoh. Key points while preparing general objective, it covers the main variables, stress and sleep quality. So you have to mention about stress, prevalence of poor sleep quality, then association between poor sleep quality and stress. Includes the population. Here the population is university students in Ipoh. States both the prevalence and association. So prevalence of stress and to examine the association provides a clear direction for the entire study. Now we need to prepare the specific objectives. Specific objectives will be SMART objectives. It should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So these are the specific objectives here to determine the prevalence of stress among university students in Ipoh, to determine the level of poor sleep quality among university students in Ipoh, to examine the association between sleep quality and stress among university students in Ipoh. Then we can add two more specific objectives to identify the socio-demographic factors which are associated with stress, to identify the socio-demographic factors which are associated with sleep quality. So, fourth specific objective will be to identify the socio-demographic factors associated with stress among university students in IPO. Fifth one will be to determine the association between socio-demographic factors and sleep quality among university students in IPO. Next is hypothesis statements. Hypothesis is an assumption about the research outcome. Okay, what you are going to get at the end of the study. So, assumption or hypothesis can be presented as null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis. Null hypothesis is a null statement. There is no association between poor sleep quality and stress. There is no relationship between sleep scores and stress scores. Okay, like that. So in this case, null hypothesis is that there is no association between sleep quality and stress among university students in IPO. Okay, one symbol is used for null hypothesis, that is H0 or H0. Okay, here H0 is actually P1 equal to P2. What is P1? P1 is the prevalence or proportion of stress among those with a good sleep quality. P2 is the proportion of stress among those students with a poor sleep quality. Null hypothesis is that there is no association between sleep quality and stress. So that proportion 1 will be equal to proportion 2. That is proportion of stress among those students with a good sleep quality will be equal to proportion of stress among those students with a poor sleep quality. P1 minus P2 is equal to 0. That means there is no difference in proportion. Assumes that no difference or no relationship exists. Now we will go through alternative hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis is the opposite of null hypothesis. It states that there is an association between sleep quality and stress among university students in IPO. Okay, the symbol used for alternative hypothesis is H1. P1 is not equal to P2. That means P1 is a proportion of stress among those with a good sleep quality. P2 is a proportion of stress among those with a poor sleep quality. H1 or alternative hypothesis is that P1 is not equal to P2 or P1 minus P2 is not equal to 0. That means some difference is there or some association is there between sleep quality and stress. At the end of the study, we are uh, testing if we can accept the null hypothesis or we need to reject the null hypothesis. Okay, based on the findings. Next, significance of this study. Okay, you have to mention about the significance of this study. A well-written significance shows why your study matters, why it is important. It connects your research to real impact of your research. So, you should justify the research. You should highlight the impact. Okay. Then you should address a gap. There should be a research gap that your study is going to fill. This significance of the study strengthens the study. It provides a strong foundation for your research objective and questions. So everyone will get justified by reading the significance of the study. Okay, you have to mention that this research benefits stakeholders, it contributes to society, it enhances academic value of the researchers, and participants. Okay, supports future research. Okay, these are the importance. These are the components you need to add while preparing significance of this study. Now we can go through the second chapter, review of literature. Key criteria for selecting studies for literature review. So you are identifying all the research articles which are already done on the topic. Then you are downloading those articles, and then you are checking that if the articles downloaded are having relevance and good quality and recency. Okay, these are the key criteria. Relevance to your topic. Whichever articles you downloaded are relevant to your research. Include studies that are directly related to your research problem, objectives, or variables. Quality and credibility. Whichever article you downloaded should have good quality. It should be from peer-reviewed journals, books, or official websites and reports. Then comes recency. You download the articles which are recent and recent studies to ensure that your review reflects the latest findings, trends, and developments. Next one, you have to write the literature review under sub-themes. Okay, introduction to the review. First, you mention about the topic. Okay, your study is on stress among university students. Then you are focusing on sleep quality among university students. Then you are evaluating the association between sleep quality and stress. So you tell about the research in the introduction of the review. Second will be sub-theme 1. Sub-theme 1 in this case will be dependent variable. That is the stress level among university students. Define the theme and summarize key findings and key studies. Sub-theme 2 will be on sleep quality, poor sleep quality among university students. Okay, so present and compare studies related to poor sleep quality. That is sub-theme 2. Sub-theme 3 will be those studies which already did evaluation between the variables poor sleep quality and stress. So discuss recent studies, trends and perspectives under this theme. So you have to download those studies which already mentioned about the possible association between um, poor sleep quality and stress levels among university students. So then last paragraph of literature review will be summary and a link to your study. Why these articles are important, which area they are lacking, what is the knowledge gap. Then you can link that your study is going to fill that knowledge gap. Okay, now we will go through the key components of a literature review. So when you download the articles, you make sure that you note down these important information, author and year of publication. Second one, methodology of the study. So you check what is the study design used in that article. What is the location of the study period, study participants, and sample size. So all these things you note down. Third is key findings or results of the article. Present the main findings or results or outcomes from the study. Okay, so you are downloading 5 studies on stress. You first mention the author and year of publication. Then you mention the methodology. What is a study design? What is a study location, study period, study participants, and sample size. Then you just mention the key finding. Don't elaborate it. You just take the key finding. Oh, this study showed that 50% of students were having stress and physical inactivity, huh, or was one reason for stress. Poor sleep quality was one reason for stress, and increased screen time or use of mobile games was one reason for stress. Then relevance to your study. Why this finding is relevant to your study. Okay, that also please mention. Now I will show you how to add a literature review table. At the end of each sub-themes, you have to make a table. Okay, that's showing author and year and purpose of study, methodology, main methodology, key findings, and the relevance to your study. So these components you need to note in a table at the end of the sub-themes. Okay. Okay, Smith and Jones, that's the name of the author. 2020 is the year. Purpose of this study to examine impact of social media use on academic performance. Then methodology, it's a quantitative study, a survey of 300 university students and data analyzed using regression or chi-square or using some other analysis, ANOVA or something. Then key findings, negative relationship between social media use and academic performance. That means those who use social media more were having lower academic performance. Okay, this is the second study. Okay, purpose of study, methodology, key findings, and relevance. Okay, third study. Okay, then fourth study. Students, please keep in mind, in the chapter literature review, there will be sub-themes. Okay, below each sub-theme, there should be a literature review table so that it will summarize the content in the sub-theme. So make sure that you are writing in your own words. You are paraphrasing and writing in your own words. Okay. So students, in the next video, we will be going through the methodology section. Hope you understood the part 1 of writing a research proposal. Thank you.